right, that they've been launching. But then Elon also works with Ben in Stellar Russia. That's the Project Aurora asset. And Project Aurora, sorry, not asset, but ecosystem. And Project Aurora covers all the BRICS teams' assets. So Elon is pretty much behind almost every single asset that's legitimate in the Stellar ecosystem at this point. That's why when he talks about integration, they're integrating the entire Stellar ecosystem into X.com, which Elon was talking about. It's going to cover 50% of the financial system. No, it'll be 100% of the financial institution. So that's why, we've been talking about drilling into people's heads, bridges, consolidation, integration, compatibility, interoperability, because we need people to understand what these words mean. Don't just say them and use them. You got to understand it, because when you understand it, then you see all of this happen. All of this becomes real. And so other interesting things that, could potentially be the end of 2024 into the early 2025 in terms of timing. So here, Indus Payments already talked about how there will be a new monetary policy change. But in the past, because of information from, Ben and Shuvlov and Ralph and Kirill, we've also talked about the possibility of the Bretton Woods 3 announcement, of the RV and Jacera, of the Q phones being distributed, of the ISO 20022 go live date, right? Because we posted that a couple days ago. But the swift integration into the ISO 20022 compliance has, a big deadline at the end of at the end of November of this year. But then it has 3 other upgrades next year. I believe it's February, July, and then November. And then they said the final update on their standards will be tentatively right now, March 10 of 2025. So sometime between the end of next year and the early part of 2025 is when the QFS system should go live in terms of bridging us from this beta testing version into the actual quantum Starlink version of it. So the reason why that's important to know, guys, is because if you're looking at all these ICOs that we've been doing, and we talked about this yesterday on the Dr. Muggsy call with Digital Tom, we've been talking about the payment system rails and how it's not just the, the SWIFT and the SPFS, SFMS, SAMUS, etc., but we've also been ICOing through, through SPIA, through VBRF teams that they brought on stuff like, Western Union and TrustPay and Nexi and E4Free and Immersive, Visa, MasterCard, etc., because these are all the online distribution channels too. So if you guys remember from an old call with Susanna and other calls that we've done, July 1st was a big deadline because the Federal Reserve made it a deadline where in the future, so from July 1st of this year onwards, you had to be able to have a minimum of 2 card not present channels for your online banking system. So that's why they've been doing all these online payment systems, because they had to bring the rails on. So you have at least 2, but hopefully way more. So as you're traveling all over the world, you're in Finland